We'll wait till a few people come in here. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We're at the city council meeting at the pit of hell. Boy, it's a packed house tonight. Holy fuck. Wait, do you see this? They're all here because of me. Bunch of dummies. Hello, everybody. Let's see. Vigilance Committee. Jody, my buddy Cliff. Welcome, everyone, from the Lorana Corporation. Compliments of Justin Garza. He is my hero. But boy, there's cars everywhere. This is, wow, we're getting famous around these parts for some reason. I know what the reason is. Corruption. And look, I wore a different shirt just for press. Look at just for we're a different one today. I got a packed house. That's good. We all need to show up and learn. I like that. It's good. It's wonderful. I like that. Give them all something to think about today. But I want to say thanks to Press Harder for, man, had a great day. He's a great guy. And it was very fun meeting him. And boy, he brings everybody around. Wow, that was pretty crazy. The minute we got there, and it's because he showed up, it got crazy. That I do know, that I believe. They knew there was something in the air, obviously, that day. So, it's probably just about time. There is a ton of cars here. I've never seen it so packed. Well, that's what it should be. That's what it should be. Oh, there's the new city council lady now. Look, long time. This whole. They think somehow they're gonna get away with not being exposed, which is why, look at all these cars. Look, everybody, look at this. Holy shit, there's like 18,000 cars. That's pretty interesting. Never seen it so damn full. It's like the whole town's here or something. Wow. Wonder why that is. Oh, maybe because they're a bunch of criminals and they're all pissed? Or they just came to see a good show. One of the two. One of the two. But we're definitely going to walk right in. That's what we do. It's not a problem. But we're going to say this. Press on. Press harder. And we are live. The pit of hell.
Jason, this is the public viewing area right here.
Public viewing area?
Public recording area, I'm sorry.
Just anywhere in public though is recording.
Correct.
Right, in public.
Yeah.
Yep. It's not like there's a certain area, it's public.
Well, this is the recording area.
There is no recording area, Philip. It's public. You could ask. You can ask, it's public. Right, okay. Just so we're clear on that. Recording area. Somebody sitting down there recording? See, it doesn't make any sense. It's no sense, what you just said, sir. None whatsoever. None. Recording area. Take your cameras down then. Recording area. Thanks for coming in, I appreciate it, brother. It's a good spot, though. I will admit that. You gave me a good spot. It is a good spot. I'm not gonna complain about the spot. Actually, can I get a stand here or something?
Don't think I can help you there.
It's a joke. But we'll make sure everybody gets to see now. Well, a full house. Look at that. Look at that. Should be interesting. Uh-huh. How was your day today? Good day? Good. Did you get that deer out of there?
I called
Still sitting over
Is
there?
it still there?
I don't know. I was gone today.
Called the Division of Wildlife, told them to come and get it. Hopefully they did.
Okay. Well, I took his front whole end down. Holy moly.
You said it was loud. I bet it was.
Ooh, it was way loud.
Come on.
Thanks for tuning in.
I'd like to make a motion that we open the public hearing for East Carbon City on the annexation of the
So the annexation, Christian's gonna explain.
Wait, why isn't the mayor here?
His wife has a procedure.
Oh,
Okay, first of all, I've talked to Christian, and we do have rules for public hearing at City Hall. So I want to read these so everybody's aware of the rules that we have here. First of all, registration and attendance. All attendees are required to sign in upon their arrival if they're going to be speaking. Anyone wishing to speak must register before the meeting begins. And so, if you did not know this before tonight, there is a roll up here on the podium, and so if you do want to speak, after I read these to you, you're going to sign in. Speaking procedures, speakers will be called in the order in which they register. Each speaker will be allowed up to 3 minutes to address the meeting. Please state your name before speaking. Comments must be directed to the council and the board, not to the other attendees. You must have respectful conduct. No shouting, personal attacks, or disruptive behavior will be tolerated.
that's incorrect.
Applause, cheering, or booing is discouraged to maintain the order.
You can't do
Cell
that.
phones and electric devices must be silenced. Materials and signage, handouts or written statements must be submitted to the city clerk for record keeping. Signs are allowed, provided they do not obstruct the views or create safety hazards. Media and reporting, media representatives are welcome, but must not interfere with the proceedings. Recordings, video, audio is permitted, provided it is unobtrusive and complies with local guidelines. Media must stay against the back wall and must not block the back door. Security and
That's not true.
enforcement. security personnel may remove individuals who violate the rules or disrupt the meeting. By entering this meeting, all attendees agree to abide by these rules. Anyone who harasses any attendees or follows them after the meeting will be charged with harassment.
That's not true.
This will be a safe place for everyone to voice their opinions.
You can't do that.
Thank you for participating in your city government and helping us run fair and effective meetings.
You know you can't do that, right?
Thank you. So,
You know you can't do
I'll just
that,
give a
right?
brief introduction about what the city council is considering tonight. We're going to take public comment in just a moment on East Carbon City annexation policy plan. Before the city can consider
criminal
an
attorney.
annexation petition, the city must have in place an annexation policy plan. So tonight, there's no specific petition that's actually being considered for approval. There is simply a plan that outlines basically what the city is considering and believes is necessary as possible property that could be annexed in the future. So we do anticipate receiving an annexation petition for some property owned by an entity called Panamint Capital, just where the Sunnyside Cogen plant currently is. But that petition is not before us yet. Tonight, we're just considering factors. We're just laying out factors in a policy that the city would consider and is required to consider by Utah law before it entertains an annexation petition. So this policy plan, some of you are aware, has already been considered by the city council. The first part of the plan is to establish an annexation area outside of the city where the city anticipates annexation will be needed for housing, industrial development, other city purposes. The city planning commission has chosen to label a small area just outside of the city that currently constitutes the Sunnyside Cogen property as the only area in which is being considered for the future an area that might be annexed. Now, this map can be amended from time to time. This policy plan can be amended as needs arise and as things change, but we have to get it started with something. So the planning commission said, let's be conservative, let's consider in that area only the areas that we know for certain at this point that are very likely, that likely have urgent need to come into the city. So that map is on file, can be viewed. It consists of tax parcel numbers 2A-1830-03, 2A-1835-03, and half of parcel 1C 0963-01, which is currently not within the city boundaries. The annexation policy plan asks us to list, among other things, the need for municipal services in the unincorporated areas near the city. We've indicated in here that police, fire, ambulance, parks and recreation, cemeteries, these are generally available to and have been used by persons living within or just outside of the city. The statute requires what is our plan for extending municipal services to the areas listed in the annexation policy plan area. Basically, for example, Sunnyside Cogen is already, it has its own source for water for its plant purposes. It's already receiving fire, ambulance, police services. We have indicated that if there's a need for an expansion of municipal services to that area that are not already being provided, that it would be the intent of the city to make sure that the infrastructure for those services and payment of those services would be paid for by the property owner. In any event, once this property, once and if it becomes part of the city, the property owner will then be paying the city rate for municipal services, and certainly that property owner would be entitled to receive municipal services just like the rest of the city. It asks us to indicate what the estimate of the tax consequences would be to residents both currently within the municipal boundaries and in the expansion area. So I met with the county's clerk, Seth Marsing, who informed me that residents within the city would see a decrease in their taxes if this property that's listed in the annexation were to come in. The municipal services tax rate he calculated would decrease from 0.00875 to 0.008739. So by way of example, for every $100,000 in taxable value within the city, primary residential property taxes would go from $875 to $873.89. So for every $100,000 of property that you own, by bringing this property into the city, your municipal services portion of your tax bill will go down by about $1.11. So it's not significant. It's not a huge area that we're including in this proposed annexation area, but we are required to list what by statute, what the tax consequence would be, and that is the tax consequence. It would affect the municipal services fund for residents in that very minor way. It would, the taxpayer whose property was annexed, that property would go up by $500 to $700 per year for municipal services. So the county would lose some tax money they get, but relatively small amount, and the city would gain a little more. It asks us to talk about urban development areas that are included within half mile of the municipality's boundary. There are no such areas. It asks for justification as to why the city might be including forest area, recreational areas, or wildlife management areas, or agricultural lands. None of the area in the proposed annexation area is that kind of area. I think, as I've reviewed kind of the legislative history of this statute, the purpose of this statute is to make sure that cities, and primarily the legislators were thinking of cities along the Wasatch Front that are trying to increase basically their residential tax base. And so the goal was to make sure that cities trying to grab areas in Salt Lake County, Weber County, Utah County, that they were considering all the factors as to how that would affect the county tax rolls and the city tax rolls. So they're required to consider these things. Really though, this is not typical because this annexation is not an annexation of a neighborhood or of a suburb, as is so often the case in northern Utah. So it's really not what East Carbon City is planning on doing tonight is atypical of what is usually done on the Wasatch Front, and really doesn't require a lot of extra planning or doesn't really change things much. It asks the city to consider whether bringing in this property would create islands or peninsulas, or whether it would overlap with other cities' boundaries. It would not do any of that. Whether it would affect the delivery of services to city residents or affect the equitable distribution of community resources. It appears that this would have very minimal effect on that. I've noted in this plan that city and Sunnyside Cogen have mutually benefited each other over the years. If this property were brought into the city, I believe, and I think this planning commission, and we'll see if the city council agrees, The goal of this is to really further the beneficial use of that property, make it so that it continues to be mutually beneficial to the residents of the city itself, and to whatever business entity is operating that property. If anybody wants a copy, I've made a few extra copies of this plan, if anybody would like one. Maybe we could pass this around, and I didn't make nearly enough, but if anybody would like one, you can have one, and maybe if you share it. I would point out that of the three parcels that are being considered for inclusion in this annexation area map, I've found that 2 of those parcels are already being taxed as if they are within the city, despite the fact that they're not in the city. So, really, the consequences of annexing this area or including it within the city appears to be fairly minimal, but I think that's all of my presentation, unless the city council members want me to address something before the public begins to comment.
I just have a question. When I first became city council member, we discussed some and the contesting that they have on their property taxes every year, which the city then has to pay back the extra.
If there's a decrease, yeah, if there's a decrease in value.
So how is that going to affect the city now with that annexation?
Well, I don't think it will affect it, it would just affect, I don't think it really would affect it, because what you're looking at is a determination of, fair market value of the property as determined by the county assessor. So, the owner's right to appeal that valuation would not change, and whether it's within the city or not is unlikely to have any kind of, it's possible it could be within a different zoning district, or a different assessing district as determined by the assessor, but my guess is that that Sunnyside Cogen property is not within an assessing district that has anything to do with the residences in Sunnyside or East Harbor. So
It isn't the residents, but it's the city, that we have to pay money back.
this would not affect that. So it doesn't affect their right to continue to make such appeals. It doesn't limit that, nor does it enhance it. So every year, it's because that appeal that they historically brought, they haven't brought it every year, but almost every year, that, that appeal is based on, did the county assessor assess this property at fair market value? And that's gonna be the guiding determination for the assessor, whether the property is within the city or without the city. So we won't have any effect on property, tax appeals, property tax appeals.
I think there was one person that wrote their name up there, Christian.
Okay, I think, yes, council, if you want to start taking public comment, I think you can go ahead and ask for that.
How much? Couple minutes?
3 minutes.
3 minutes. So anybody who has any questions?
Here comes the lady they cheated.
Yeah, I have 3 questions, and, the first one is, I heard that it's possible to do reservoirs planned, and if so, why is the current one structurally unsound? That's the first question. The second question I had was, there's a well at diversion 2, and is there any plans to pump that well to supplement the water supply? And if not, why not? And then also, what is the plan to clear out the sediment?
Okay. I have our water engineer here.
Just a minute, I have a comment. So for now, we're still taking public comment on the annexation policy plan.
Right, yeah.
So if the comment does not pertain to that, this isn't the time to make that comment.
Okay, I'm on the agenda, so I'll have to come back up then.
Anybody else?
I would just, point out, Kenzie and Barbara, your team on the planning commission spent a fair amount of time helping draft this and kind of looking it over with me. And so, I think it's a good document. It talks about how the character of the community wants to continue to be retain a small town feel, but continue to grow economically, to present opportunities for economic growth, while preserving its historic character and recognizing that coal has been a significant part of the city. So we've got language about that in here, but this is a plan that can be modified, changed, adapted as necessary. So frankly, at this point, it didn't seem that there was a need to include a lot of other areas outside of the city for, say, residential expansion. But if that need comes, we can modify that map at some later time. But I know your planning commission put their heads together and talked about it and really thought about what areas should be included, and they felt, let's just put what seems necessary at this point, so. So if you approve this tonight, after closing the public hearing, then the city can begin to entertain annexation petitions. And that involves them sending a petition to the city, which then is sent to the county, and which is also sent to neighboring property owners. So,
So, being that Barbara and Kenzie have done all this legwork, do you have any comment?
I think it's good. No, not beyond what I've said. I think, like I said, it's something we can continue to work on, improve, and as needs arise, we can modify it. But I think the most important thing is it's a fairly simple document, to be honest. It just has what the statute requires. I think it's wise to approve it tonight, if you don't see any glaring problems with it, so that basically then the city's open for business for those companies that want to keep doing stuff for profit.
So I would make a motion that we close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Are we gonna make that motion to approve that?
We have
We have to close the public hearing.
So we'll open the regularly scheduled meeting.
We have a motion and a second.
Yeah, we need a motion on a vote on the motion to close the public hearing.
Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Good enough, so we'll close that and we'll start with pledge allegiance on the regular scheduled meeting.
I think on our other meeting, we still have we do have an agenda item for consideration and possible approval of the annexation policy plan. So before we go into the new meeting, we need to take a vote on the plan itself. So I think you just call.
They obviously don't know what they're
I make a
doing.
motion that we take a vote on the annexation of the annexation policy and plan for this part of the city.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, now go to the regular.
Okay, now we'll go to the regular scheduled meeting. And we'll start with pledge allegiance.
here?
Yeah.
Okay, we need to do the approval of the previous minutes first. And then
Okay, so, approval of previous minutes?
make a motion that we approve the minutes of the last meeting.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
All those in favor? Okay, petitions, remonstrances, and communications. And the first person up is Amber. Amber didn't show.
No, she's not here.
Was, somebody else gonna represent Amber?
I know what she was going to talk about. She was gonna talk to the attorney about the 515 Edgehill Place on where that stands and what's happening with that.
It's in process, it's in progress, working on it.
What?
It's the one on Edgehill Place.
Yeah, I know, but I mean,
So how long are we talking about? Cause I sent in the email in August, first part of August or end of July. So we're going on 6 months.
Well, okay, we just passed an annexation policy plan that I spent a lot of time working on. So that's where my energies have gone. So I apologize, I'm not farther along on this, but, you want a timeline?
did we
It would
get a
be nice.
timeline?
No, I'm not gonna give you a timeline for this. I'll get to this, I'll get it done as soon as I can. I mean, it would be nice, council, if you want to ask me questions about where I'm at on legal things, if you give me a heads up on that, and then I can give you an update. Rather than just bringing them up, holding that meeting, right?
Do you not get the agenda?
I did it like the morning of, the day of, so. I mean, I guess if you want, if you want me to make a public presentation on where we're at and things, then I'd like a little bit.
I think she just wanted to know where we were and what you think.
Fair enough. What's taking so long is, there's just a lot that's been going on lately, so I apologize.
They live next door.
You can call me, you can call me this, you could call me and say, Christian, what's taking so long? But if you want to embarrass me in a meeting and ask me
It's
why it's
not
taking so
embarrassing,
long.
I asked you last. In private. It's not embarrassing, I'm
Well,
just
just call
giving
me,
you
just call me if you want to,
Amber is asking.
well, just call me, have her call me. I've answered, I haven't filed anything on it yet, still working on it. I should have some time coming up now, we're kind of done with this annexation stuff, but I'll have some time to get it done.
Fair enough. Okay, Genevieve?
Damn, that was funny. What a clown.
Okay, here we go. I heard that a new reservoir may be planned, and so I was wondering why that is so. Can you confirm if it's true or not, and why would that be happening? For example, is the current reservoir structurally unsound, or is that just a false rumor? There's a well at diversion 2, and I was wondering if it can be used to supplement the water supply, and if not, why not? And then also, what is the plan to clear out the sediment in the Grassy Trail Reservoir, and what is the timeline for that?
Yeah, I'll answer what I know. First of all, it's very old. It was built in 1950 somewhat. So, this is a problem that holds true in all old towns like this, all throughout Utah. And we are working very hard towards this. money. The sediment, yeah, we'd like to get rid of it. Every time we go to a plan to get rid of the sediment, no, you can't do that, you can't do that. They don't want it back in the creek bed. We can't afford to dredge because that's 90% of the water and 10% of the sediment. We can't do that because we don't have that much water. The well, right now it's out of the question. The new reservoir, yeah, when Orlando was here and Murray had promised to do this and do that, and I knew it wasn't gonna come through, and it didn't. They did all the surveying, they've done all the testing on the place where they want to build a new reservoir, but that went all south. Mr. Murray said, well, I'll see you later, and that plan was gone. But I do have a water expert here that's working on a reservoir, and we have 2 different firms that are working on this, and I guess whoever gets the bid, but we're trying to come up with finances for this, first of all. So he's been very attentive to us, and so if you would please explain a few things.
Yeah. I'm James Saunders. I'm with Jones Mill Engineering, and I live over in Price. So part of the community, happy to be here to help. A few of the things we went and looked at, I brought one of our water resource experts from our company out to look at things and look at the reservoir. The biggest issue, as Councilmember Abeta, is the sedimentation buildup. All reservoirs have that issue. It's just some build up faster than others. And so the issue is the lost capacity. And as noted, there are some, I guess, minor leakages that were observed. So trying to facilitate that issue, as Councilmember Abeta mentioned, it is expensive to dredge a reservoir, and to take it offline, that's the only source of water at the moment. So, yeah, you have to consider many alternatives to be able to address that issue while still providing water to the town. And so, at this point in time, we're working with trying to get funding to do a study to be able to figure out what's the best route to go forward. What's most cost effective? Is it rehabilitating the current reservoir as it is to get either more storage or better capacity out of it, or possibly looking into another location? Just many alternatives to be able to address it, and trying to find what's the best cost effective for the town. And then to be able to go for the next step is how to fund that. What's the best on that? Because reservoirs are really complex projects, it takes quite a bit of time to be able to go through planning, funding, design, and construction. There are a lot of federal agencies that monitor reservoirs because of the risk it poses of failure. So it's just a lot of steps, and we have to go through the proper procedures and make sure all the ducks are in a row for that. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you what little bit I know that our maintenance, working with different firms are right now making improvements on the treatment plant so that until this all takes place, that we have good fresh water, clean water. It passes everything that every week we take the test down and they pass. So we're drinking clean, fresh water. Last week, the storm, the reservoir actually is holding its own and coming up. So you just have to remember, if we don't get these storms in this winter, then nothing matters. All these plans, nothing matters. If we don't get think that, James has been really decent with us and really concerned and, we'll come up with the funding first and go ahead with the plan and, I mean, nobody here in this building right here doesn't, everybody wants what's right for us. Every time you go turn that water on, you have to remember that. Nobody's trying to do anything that wouldn't be good for this town. I can tell you that right now. There's not a single person that works for the city, or attorney, or engineers, everybody is doing the best they can. Nobody's trying to do anything that would, why would we put up with that? We wouldn't put up with that. So I feel good about what's going on. I wish that we had a lot of money. I wish that we could get this done. It's not gonna be an easy process. It's gonna take a couple of years, but, it's gonna work. We're gonna be successful.
Just a follow-up question, so just to confirm that, a new reservoir is an option? It's just an option at this point, is that correct?
It's an option. They've done a lot of testing. It would be nice.
Okay, and then, you said, the well was out of the question, well, close to emergency.
No.
Why, is it contaminated, or why?
Well, you know what? Cogen, they're the ones that took over all the wells. They went down and they paid millions of dollars to put those pumps in. They didn't like that water when they were running, when the power plant was running at its highest point. They didn't want that well water because it was contaminated. They wanted to buy water from us, and that was nice. We made a lot of money off that water. It ran that plant so much nicer than that well water. And so when this company took over, they decided that, well, we really couldn't sell them any water. So they
I'll go get a
decided-
new microphone. I was with press all day.
Well, I don't think it worked out that well for them. So, I would say, that anything that goes back into that mine is probably contaminated. Is what I've been told.
Were there ever any, lab tests done by DPW?
Say that again?
Were there ever any lab tests done by Division of Drinking Water on that
Well,
well?
I know their water was not good water. But the well water, the wells that I know of around here, I think they're good water, but, you know, there's not very many wells around here. East Park City owns one, and I own one. It's probably good water, but the source is, how long do you think that water's gonna last? Or how well is that aquifer? I don't know. It's hard to say. Anyway, that's all I have. Ellen Pace. Cullen Pace, discussion on water bill at 124.6 West. You here? No? I tried to get to the bottom of that today, and, Jason was probably the only one that could have really, me and Liz tried to toss that around a little bit. I think we need to have him show up either to a meeting or to come into Jason's office and get that squared away, but, you pay your water bill, that's all I know. If you're using water, you gotta pay your bill. We'll have to discuss that at a later date. Business license application, Rex Crank.
Hello, that's Craig here. I have someone that I can read a little bit better than I do.
So we're proposing to start up business for a bin cleaning service for judgments. So there's a lack of competing companies, no one who's doing it, surrounding areas are not doing it either. So it's a service that maybe get overlooked. The closest competitor is so far away that they are unable to bring the service here in this department. Market for bin cleaning is an up and coming fast market, making its way through every city as we speak. We want to get a jump on it before any outsiders try to bring that here. So obviously our target audience will be everywhere, because everyone makes trash and their pens all get dirty. And we've logoed a company name so that we feel like people will always remember it. And no one feels comfortable with it, you have to be surrounded themselves, so we called it our dirty little secret. And I figured that people would remember that. So we've been watching others in this field and found that it is growing rapidly. The startup may go slowly at first, but once we get enough cans in place that I think it will be a pretty consistent, environmentally safer, and a lot more reliable than attempting to wash the bins out in the front ends. So
It's not for you, Randall.
we plan to advertise in